Hi, my name is Ainur. I do paper crafting and I talk about creativity. In this video, I would like to discuss why the direction of more creativity is a good one for you in 2026. I will also recommend some steps how to become more creative in the new year. Let's begin. So why should we do more creative things? Doing creative things is about having more joy. And joy is actually your guide in choosing what you want to try as a creative activity this year. For example, you could pick up an old activity of yours, the old hobby that brought you an immense emotional fulfillment or joy. This is what creativity gives you as a feeling. It's about experiencing joy while creating. The next point is more about why creativity is essential. I'm sure that each of us is planning to accomplish a lot in the new year. We are setting up goals and resolutions, and it's the right way to do so. However, you need to support your productivity. You need to nourish yourself, which can be done through good diet, physical exercise, but those just don't offset the pressure in a task-focused mindset. They don't bring the opposite to the go-get, hit the goal mindset. Our brain in the awake state continuously functions in those alert beta brainwaves. And this could potentially result in exhaustion, burnouts, and avoiding those tasks, which is a form of self-preservation to spare yourself from this continuous hyper-focus. You need rest. The solution is to give yourself a daily relief of that hyper-focus by introducing the other type of brainwaves, the alpha brainwaves. The alpha waves are associated with creativity. Our brain produces alpha waves when we are meditating, doing mindful things like arts and crafts. I see creativity as a form of nourishment, self-care, so that we can have the capacity to go after our goals and desires. You just get tired by being in a continuous state of do mode. Creativity slows you down to feel, to sense, to quiet all the noise. It brings you to the present rather than the future where this project, this milestone is achieved. It brings you back into your body. And it's the best place to be in to assess how you want to get anywhere and, more importantly, why. Give yourself that nourishment supply this year. On top of that, when we are doing creative things, you get to hit smaller, sometimes teeny tiny goals like finishing a crochet toy, a painting, writing a short story, editing a short video. What this does, it helps to reinforce the idea that you are a creator and a lot of things are within your reach. A positive reinforcement that carries out to the other parts of your daily life. My number 4 reason for doing more creative things this year cycles back to the beginning of this video, to the first reason, which was joy. When you are joyful doing anything in life, you can fall into the flow state. It's a state of consciousness where you are focused, but it's not a task for you. You are not busy consciously performing required steps, but rather you are in the zone, in the flow. There is no time, only the present, which is joyful. And I want everyone to experience more of this flow state in the new year. And I wish that for myself too. I have a separate video about the flow state on my channel. You can check it out. It's all about the flow in each and everyone's life, rather than doing and pursuing. I hope those reasons explained why more creativity should be a good part of your 2026. So what do you do? How do you become more creative? How to become more creative? Choose an activity. I suggest to split your activities into groups to do them more regularly. My suggestion here is to look at the range of activities you find interesting and mark them by the level of your engagement with them. I have a separate video where I split the activities of your preferences into 3 groups: easy, medium, and deep. based on the level of resistance you have when you start the activity and how deep you can submerge yourself into it. Easy or deep, any creative hobby offsets the struggles of many types. Any creative activity relaxes you and calms your mind. But if you know for yourself the easy to start ones, do more of them regularly. We build up our appetite for the other creative hobbies by working on the barrier, a barrier between you and what wants to be created. In the way we train our brain to embrace our creative expressions, so that you don't have the internal resistance to start. It can be difficult to switch from the task-oriented mindset and fully go into creative flow state. So work on this transition to make it smooth, fast, easy by doing something light, something easy, maybe small. Let me give you an example. I do paper crafting. I design patterns, so I get involved in a creative activity from a logical mind. It appeals to my analytical brain, and I enjoy it. But I have more resistance to draw, something I used to do a lot in my younger years. So I naturally do more of paper crafting, and then occasionally I get into the mood to draw. So better to do small creative things frequently rather than to wait for that big inspiration to hit for a bigger thing. Do knitting, do crochet, they already have those small steps into them to stop and start at any point. Perhaps try paper crafting. Subscribe if you want to see if it's something that appeals to you creatively. The next step is to follow your joy. Try things, try to replicate something you saw in a video, but if it doesn't bring you joy, it is better to try other things for now. And don't judge yourself. I want to make a clear distinction between being creative and being a master of some form of arts. Those are two different things. You can be creative, experience joy, explore new things without having similar level of mastership to someone who has been working on their set of skills, perfecting those skills for years. Both can be extremely creative and be in the flow. The results of their creativity will be different, but that's the results, not the creativity part. And we are focusing on creativity. Emotionally, you get similar positive experiences. Cherish that. Comparing, being hard on yourself, high expectations can discourage you. Bring attention to the joy part. This brings us to skills, how to build them this year. I want to say that it's admirable wanting to learn new creative skills, to give yourself a chance to express creatively through a specific form of arts. But when you are working on building up those skills, you are very much in your analytical mind, logically processing, memorizing the routines, correlations. You are not operating from your creative mind. There is a part of joy in the learning, but let yourself build up those skills. Enjoy the learning process rather than judging the results and possibly giving up. Because you think you don't have the talent, build up those skills. Take time for that. For example, I hear a lot of people who call themselves not creative because they cannot draw. And that is such a specific field. They didn't give themselves time to explore it, but they already boxed themselves under the not creative identity. Where can you possibly go from there? Not in the direction of creativity. Maybe the solution is to try something else, or maybe it's about being stubborn and persisting in learning. It can also be about taking smaller steps when you are building up the skills. My next suggestion is about exposing yourself to more creativity from the outside. When you are in the field of creativity with others, you act differently. Fortunately and unfortunately, your environment defines your daily activities, your aspirations, the level of passion you have for your hobbies. It is so much easier to create while being surrounded by other creative people. You can enroll yourself into some creative classes. You can make new friends in the field you are interested in. You can organize creative events yourself for your family and friends. This is a wild one. Go crazy. You can simply embody a creative archetype by just deciding to be the one. I am the creative person, and that's it. By you deciding to be this person, you act from a different construction of rules. I have an example from my youth. My then friend watched me draw often in the classes. Her identity was a person who is good in maths, nothing creative, but she decided for herself that she is a creative one and started writing poetry a lot, and she was very committed to her decision. She actually wrote nice poems. How can this point of suggestion be applied for you? If you draw something on paper with pencils here and there, and if one day you decide for yourself, I am the artist who paints large pieces of artwork, decided and done. You'll just drop the fears of painting, committing to large canvases. You'll show up like the artist who paints the large pieces. It's about creating from a different identity, a construct of different features. Fun question for you, nothing furthermore. Who could you embody creatively this year? Just let yourself envision that. The rest is up to you. Make space for creativity. This includes many things. The first one is to facilitate yourself. Prepare a space, free up a time slot for yourself in the evenings or weekends. Buy new exciting materials. The other part of this suggestion includes to remove the old, the unwanted. Clean up is very inspiring. A clean up of your desk, art supplies, a clean up of the old ways that don't bring you joy. This is more about the mindset and things that could bring you down. Everything is easier to do from an uplifted state. What is your passion? The next step is to find the source of your creative fire. Bring your attention to what is inside of you. Maybe you are just not passionate about the things on the surface, the things you hear from others, the art you see in videos, galleries, performances. Maybe you are very passionate about what you say, but very quietly. And because you are busy going after things day to day, you don't get to hear what that is. What is the best way to reveal it? It's by writing. That's my favorite one. I never knew that I can enjoy writing because it was usually done at school under a very generalized program. Now that I discovered it for myself, I write on the subjects that interest me. Give it a try. Write a paragraph here and there. It doesn't matter whether it's about your day, your feelings, or simply your silliness pouring out in words. It unlocks your creative self-expression, builds up your flexibility to talk openly, to express, maybe later in the form of music, maybe publicly, in person. And writing can also make you feel good, bring clarity to the internal dialogues, hesitations, and help you to identify the right way for you to create and to do anything in life. As you can see, my suggestions are about being mindful, choosing to do creative things regularly, going in the direction of what energizes you and brings you joy. Becoming more creative in the new year should not be another to-do task for you, but rather a heartfelt choice for more creativity, because it brings you a lot of things emotionally, like feeling good, relaxed, nourished, and hopefully the positive effects of your creative hobbies overflow to the other parts of your life, that you feel inspired to shape, to create the other things you envision for yourself. My name is Ainur. I talk about creativity, and this is Creative Stories with Ainur. If you want to continue learning about the ways to boost your creativity, consider to subscribe to this channel. Until next time, stay creative.